This is the 12th lecture in our review before we start Algebra I, and we just have a few more to go. There's only going to be 14 review lectures before we start, so we have this one and two more. Let's get started. Today we're going to multiply and divide fractions. So if we have two fractions, and I'm going to say that A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, and D are non-zero numbers. So we're just going to make this a formula. Okay, so if we're multiplying this fraction times this fraction, we multiply the numerators, A times C, and we multiply the denominators, B times D. That's it. That's our formula. And then the next step would be to simplify the answer. Very simple. All right, let's look at an example. Let's look at 3/5 times 1/4. Okay. So we're going to multiply across the numerator. 3 times 1 is 3, and 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 is 5 times 4, and 3 is prime, so we can't reduce here because they have no common factors. So the result is 3/20. How about we look at a different example? How about 7/8 times 6/7? Okay. Now there's two ways we can do this. We can multiply across, or we could reduce first. Let's do it the long way, and then I'll show you how much easier the quicker reduce before you multiply is. Okay, so if we multiply across, we get 7 times 6 is 42, and 8 times 7 is 56. Okay, so 42 and 56 are both multiples of 7. Okay. 56 is 8 times 7, and 42 is 6 times 7, and then both of these are even. So the result here is 3/4. Now another way of doing this, I'm going to rewrite it down here, is we can reduce before we multiply. You can see there's factors of 7 right there. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So if we reduce this to 1, if we divide that by 7, we get 1. And we divide this by 7, we get 1. And then 6/8 are both even. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. And what's left? Without even having to multiply, 3/4. So however you wish to do it, it is up to you. Okay. Let's say I have 1/2. I'm going to draw a picture just so we can kind of see what this looks like. 1/2, and I want to multiply 1/2 times 6. Okay, so I'd have 1/2, and then one more half. So six 1/2 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these were 1/2 would fill up this area, without saving my pen some ink here and not filling these up. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1/2, and that's 3 wholes. Okay, you see that? Well, let's look at it mathematically and see if we get the same result. 6 is always written as 6/1, and we can reduce before we multiply. Both of these are even. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. And what's left is 3/1, which is indeed 3. So that's how we multiply by a whole number. Now, we could also say that 6 times 1/2 is the same as 6 divided by 2, right? 6 divided by 2 is 3. And that is because when we multiply a fraction by its reciprocal, that is the definition of division. So to divide by a fraction, you multiply the fraction by its reciprocal. So if I had 6 divided by 2, this is 6 times, well, what is the reciprocal? Reciprocal is the multiplicative inverse, or it's the flipped form of the fraction. Okay, so 2 over 1, the reciprocal would be 1/2, which is what those are. They're reciprocals, which is 6 over 1 times 1 over 2, which is 3, which is 6 divided by 2. Okay, now, one thing about reciprocals, the reciprocal, the product of reciprocals is always 1. Okay, notice that I have 2 over 1. The reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1 over 2, and when we multiply them together, we get 2 over 2, which is 1. So to divide a fraction, let's say I want to take 3/4 and split it in half. So I'm going to divide by 2. That would split it in half. 3/4, we will take the first fraction, it would stay the same. We change multiply to divide to multiply, and we multiply by the reciprocal, and then we get 3 times 1 on top and 4 times 2 on the bottom, which is 3/8. In which you can see here that half of 3/4 is 3/8. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay. So 3/4, here's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, right? So here's 3/4. This is 3/4, which is also, so half of this, half of 3/4, if I take this and split it into half, which would be, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I shaded one too many. Let's just say this is 3/4. Half of that is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, here's half of it right here. Half of it. That's half of 3/4, which is definitely 1, 2, 3 out of 8. Okay, let's divide 2/3. 2/3 divided by 3/4. Okay, so if I take 2/3 and I divide it by 3/4, I multiply by the reciprocal, and I get 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 3 is 9. So, to summarize, to multiply, you multiply across. Okay, so when we multiply fractions, we multiply straight across. To divide, we flip the second fraction and multiply, which is a common way to say divide by multiply by the reciprocal. And that is the lesson on multiply and dividing fractions. Really quick and easy. Multiply straight across when you multiply. When you divide, you find the reciprocal of the second fraction. You find the reciprocal of the second fraction, which is the fraction flipped upside down, and you multiply. The next lesson, we're going to talk about common denominators. And I hope to see you there.